Romance readers, welcome to Illicit Liaisons from Tender and Tempting Tales, where each week we discuss the good, the bad, and the naughty of romance fiction. I am Jenna Harte. I'm the author of the Southern Heat Contemporary Romance series and the Sexy Valentine mysteries, all of which are in Kindle Unlimited. And I'm also the managing editor of Tender and Tempting Tales, an anthology and zine for people who like romantic quickies.
I'm Tara Leederman, social media manager here at Tender and Tempting Tales and lore maven and main fiction writer for Starship Valkyrie, a science fiction game and story universe. I write science fiction stories, including romance, and you can often find me in our anthologies and online.
And today we do not have a guest with us, but that's okay because we have got lots of tea and drama and stuff to discuss in the romance world. And so let's start off with we've had a lot of great adaptations from romance novels. Heated Rivalry, taking the world by storm. We had season 4 of Bridgerton. And I'm just curious, Tara, were there any of those that you really liked or really didn't like? What worked, what didn't work?
I'm really impressed by the way Bridgerton turned it around. I wasn't a big fan of season three, as you know. I mean, it was still good, but it didn't compel me the way like season two and season one did. Season four was like a breakout. I actually told my sister yesterday because she stopped watching during season three. Like she disliked it that much that she should go back and watch season four because it was that good. Because her favorite's the Duke. She's never been happy since the Duke left, basically. And I know how she feels. I think a lot of people watching Bridgerton feel that way. But I told her to go watch it. And also, like, Heated Rivalry, I'm really impressed by. Like, I'm not a big hockey romance person, but like this one's bringing me around. I'm watching it like, how do I do sci-fi hockey? How do I make that happen? Maybe Metaball? I don't know. Like, I really want to do sci-fi hockey now because it's just really fun. I'm enjoying that.
That's
What about
fun.
you?
I Heated Rivalry I did enjoy, but of course the first few episodes were a challenge because I just found Ilya
Dick.
difficult to like, but also maybe even more so annoyed with Hollander. Like, why are you're putting up with this?
Hmm.
He's treated you badly or said crazy things or done crazy things, and you still walk into his room, you call him an a-hole, and yet you still climb into bed with him. Like that was sort of annoying, but I guess part of the growth. I remember reading Red, White, and Royal Blue and not liking the first son and thinking, what the heck? But that was part of the growth to see him mature and come around. So I kind of had that with Heated Rivalry because you definitely see there's more going on. And when you see the other things going on, especially in Ilya's life, you kind of understand how hard he has to work to have kind of a persona to protect himself. So Bridgerton, I felt the same. The first season, we'd never seen anything like it before. Sort of like watching Star Wars the first time. I don't even know if you were born, but in
I was not.
1970, 77 or whenever, there had been nothing like it, right? And you can't see something the first time twice, right? Type of
Yeah.
thing. So Bridgerton season 1 really did that. Season 2, though, I thought was really good. I mean, Anthony and Kate, those two chemistry between them, even now, sizzles whenever they're on the screen. Just love them.
Their scenes do. They come in and it's like, oh no.
Yeah, even, in season 3 when they're dancing and they have to come together and they have that little kiss. I live for that stuff. Love it. Season 3, I felt the same way. But for me, it fell flat because they just had too much going on. And I know they had to set up Francesca's story, but there was other stuff I didn't feel like they needed to do. And I didn't think Colin and Penelope had really enough time. They sort of assumed that because we'd seen her pine for him for 2 seasons, that we would sort of get. And then he all of a sudden is in love with her. So that book was set up as kind of a fake dating thing, like, or I'm going to teach you how to be around men. And we saw a little bit of that, but like not enough to see him sort of like, wait, why am I helping her talk to
Yeah.
this guy type of thing? So
Yeah.
I did feel that fell short. But season 4, of course, I really liked it. I think I've mentioned before, I liked the changes they made to Benedict because there was at least 2 scenes in the book where I just thought, no, no, slap him. you know,
Slap.
like
Slap
wrong,
that man.
wrong. And those were not in the show. So I really liked it, but I also really liked how the show leaned in hard on the other people in society that generally aren't heard or seen very much.
Yeah.
And also how the idea that all these rules and stuff we have in society are supposed to make it better, and they're
Yeah.
actually really hurting people. In some ways, in Francesca, that scene with her having to be examined, just
Oh, oh God,
that
that
was
was rough.
that was very difficult. And the scene before where Benedict's trying to stop it, like he recognizes just how heinous this is. But it has to be done
Ugh.
because, the kill Martin line. So yeah, I've been pretty happy with those. I've recently started watching the last season of Outlander, but of course I haven't read all of them. So I'm perfectly happy with what's going on. I'm a little nervous. I really wish they'd go back to Scotland, but
Me too.
other than that,
I wanted that in the books for a long
and
time,
I'm
actually.
like, when your house burnt down, why didn't you just go back, right? Because
Yeah,
why stay for another war?
yeah,
Like why stay
yeah.
for that? I didn't read the book, so I don't really know. And I guess the idea is this is our home now.
Yeah, they've created Fraser's Ridge and they have a very large community there. So that's
Yeah,
the main reason is that basically Jamie is like a laird of
exactly.
is the only place where he
Exactly.
can be a laird. That culture
Yeah.
in Scotland is disappearing. The thing that they
Yeah.
don't want to show is how much Scotland is changing during this
Yeah.
time period and be professionalizing and the Scottish Enlightenment is happening at this time, which is sad because I do want to see that. I wish it really like Scotland as we see it in the 1740s, actually getting to see
Yeah.
the end of the Highland culture and everything. But
Yeah.
I don't think Diana Gabaldon wanted to go back and show like the Scottish Enlightenment and all that stuff. It's not that kind of like rough Highlander type stuff. It's not what Jamie doesn't fit into that very well.
Yeah.
So she
Well,
gets
and
in a place where he can be a
and a
lawyer.
lot of they were being stripped of a lot of, he would have been
Oh yeah,
arrested for wearing his kilt.
yeah.
So,
Or speaking Gaelic,
exactly.
it was
So
outlawed.
I see it and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I do like Scotland and wish they'd, and just like, why are you sitting in the middle of a war? Like you've done this. You tried to stop one before it didn't work. Anyway, there's new adaptations coming out. There's Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice.
Other Bennett sister.
Yeah. Are there any you're looking forward to?
I want to read the other Bennett sister. I believe I've read it a long time ago, if unless I read a different one, but I think it sounds really familiar, but I would reread it or read it, whichever one it is. And like the show looks really interesting, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I have a weird attachment to I've been watching the things on YouTube about the other Bennett sister. People are putting together compilations so you can watch, or they have clips of the show in there. And then there's people who've been able to see it because it's obviously released in Britain. It's just
Mhm.
not here yet, talking about it. And they're just kind of gushing about how it's been done. So I am really excited to see it. And yeah, I do have the book to read too. Although I kind of go back and forth with, gosh, am I going to read it and then be disappointed with the show? That's always it's always a risk, right? If you read the book.
Yeah.
Kathleen Madigan has a joke for people who complain the movie isn't as good as the book. Her reply is, "That's what you get for reading."
That's what you Well, it is BBC doing it, and I feel like they do actually do pretty well with a lot of book
Yeah.
adaptations. Like, almost
Yeah.
too well. Like I feel like sometimes they're almost too true to the book, and it's like, take some license. It's okay. We'll
Yeah.
live.
Well, that's the concern. Pride and Prejudice is coming out, and I think they're doing six, six,
Six episodes,
six episodes.
just like in
And
the 90s.
yeah, was that 5 or 6? It was
That
like
was
5 hours, so 6 episodes. Yeah. And so the question is, oh, how is it going to be the same, better, different than what we've already had? Because, we have the 95 edition, Colin Firth. We have pretty much the whole book. We have him coming out of the lake. That was
Yeah.
different, right? We have
Wet shirted Colin Firth is right up there for me.
we have the 2005, which I
This
thought
is
Matthew
for Keira
McFadden,
Knightley.
with Keira Knightley. I
Yeah,
thought
that was
Matthew was I loved him as Darcy.
mhm.
I just thought he was really, really good. And I liked that it was a movie, so obviously they took a bunch of stuff out. And they took their own little liberties. That walk across the thing at the end, Morgan's the end. Yes, please.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I
And
hate
I
there's so
actually
many
saw,
drawing rooms in freaking Austin. I don't want any more drawing rooms. Let's do
yeah,
Moors. Show me the Moors.
yeah. And I just saw a video recently talking about the two things and talking about the lake scene where Darcy runs into Lizzie at Pemberley and he's disheveled, right?
Oh
He's
yeah.
caught off guard.
Mhm.
He's not all put together, which I thought was a really, like I was just watching it and I'm like Colin Firth with, wet shirt, know?
It
But
highlights
they
the
made an
embarrassment
interesting
of being
point.
in someone's house.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
her too is like, oh my God, I just got caught at Darcy's house. And she wouldn't want that because their last thing she told him she would never marry him in a
Hmm.
million years, right? So, but he too is sort of his armor isn't on type of thing, right?
Hmm.
He's not. And then they sort of compared it to that walk across the moor at the end of the Keira Knightley one, but that one was intentional. He
Yeah.
is showing up as him, you
Yeah.
know to me the comparisons weren't that great because they're two different parts of the book.
It's not apples to apples.
Because when in the book when she shows up at Pemberley, she too is embarrassed at getting caught there, and he too is a little like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. But she does catch him in an unguarded moment with Georgiana,
No, yes.
which was sweet. Anyway,
Yeah, where she sees a new aspect of him, like seeing him as an older brother and as like a guardian to his younger sister,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and why he feels the way that he does
yeah.
about Wickham. Or was it
Yeah.
William?
And of course, for both of them, the lady who takes care of Pemberley is the one that starts the shift about
Yeah.
what a wonderful person he is. And anyway,
Hmm.
we're kind of going off, but I am
So,
looking forward to that because Olivia Colman, I just think is
yeah.
a tremendous actress. Can't not wait to see her as Mrs. Bennet. Um,
It was her destiny.
yeah, the other thing is season two of the Black Dagger Brotherhood is supposed to be coming out this fall. And
Hmm.
in terms of quality compared to like these others we're talking about, not there because it's a passion flicks thing. But if
Oh,
you read
wow.
the books and you like the books, you'll probably enjoy the show because they're delivering everything you would want. J.R. Ward, the author, is part of it in terms of being there to see what's going on, the technical quality, the acting, all that, not as much as Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, but still fun, still fun. So I am looking forward to that. That's The Beast, book two.
Nice.
So yeah,
That sounds fun.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, what other news do we have
Uh,
for people? So much this last season, my
well,
God.
you start because I don't know this first one.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the bindery closing. Yeah, I was there was a bunch covered about this in on YouTube. A lot of bookish folks talking about this. I guess the bindery was a small company that was basically doing personalized, customized bindings of people's books, and they would do even if someone had like a large fan fiction that they wanted a special binding of, they would do it. And there was some like worries or accusations that maybe they were using AI art in some of the things that they were doing, and they would do a design, and you could also buy a version of that design if you wanted, and they do a limited like sort of like run of it. And it sounded like they had some flooding issues and stuff, and they closed while they still had a bunch of contracts outstanding, and they just sort of vanished and stopped responding to people, and that sounded very dramatic. And there's a lot of these little businesses in the
Mhm.
romance world and in the indie world that do just kind of go up in smoke on people and just ghost them. It's a thing just to be aware
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
not really like a buyer beware thing. It's just that like there are more, there are kind of more like shit shows in this space than you realize. A lot of dumpster fires out there, and just
Yeah.
be aware of that. Like even if people look like a solid business, they could just suddenly have personal problems and disappear on you.
Yeah, you definitely need to do your due diligence on things because I wasn't familiar with this one, but I've heard a lot of stories about companies like this. Maybe they're doing book boxes and they're doing a new edition for the book boxes for an author. They're working for it with an author to do it, and the author's not getting paid. And the people are signing up to get these things, and 6 months, a year later, they still haven't gotten the books that they've paid for,
Yeah,
right?
or special editions they were supposed to get, or
Right.
oh my God, so many of these things, or conventions, people running conventions that just suddenly go up in smoke. People
Yeah.
running these big fancy balls that were going up. I heard about a romantasy ball where this happened, where there's this
Yeah.
company that's been putting on these lovely events, or at least they look like they're supposed to be lovely. And people have been complaining that, if they were one of the first 100, they like didn't actually get a very interesting gift, or like it was something that looked like it was from Temu that probably cost like 17 cents or 24 cents. That was
Right.
like their special gift for being one of the first 100. Or like they were supposed to go to a high tea that just looked like it was like the continental breakfast at the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, on a board of a convention, and like I know setting up food and drink at a hotel is
Yeah.
extremely expensive. And I think a lot of people who go in to run these conventions don't know that. And they don't realize when they set the price point what they're in for. And then they talk to the hotel and it's like $75 a person just for that. And you need to make profit. And then everything just falls apart. And you also have to decorate it and give it a sense of occasion.
Yeah.
And before
Yeah.
you know it, you're in the hole after a few of these events. A lot of these people are doing a lot of like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So they receive the money for one event and they're using it to pay for another, which is never good, right? Because like if you're not receiving enough ticket sales on an event, eventually you're going to run short. You have to use the money for the event that you are getting ticket sales for
Yeah.
and
It's
keep
a
them separate.
Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suspect a lot of people go into it with good intentions. And then all of a sudden, they get the bill and they have to start cutting costs.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, instead of this elaborate setup, we're just going to have a little pop-up box, right? Or
Yeah.
instead of high tea, we're going to just use what the hotel offers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is problematic. I feel bad for people who get in over their head. And that's the rule of that is start small
Yes.
and build.
Yeah.
SAS, I go to SAS, I'm going this summer. This is like their 10th year or something. And I think she's decided she's not going to do them anymore. She's tired.
Oh,
But, people are coming in from all over country. Sierra, who is going to be on the show, I met her. I knew her through Right with Heart, but then I met her at, at a SAS. She flew across the country to Norfolk, Virginia. And I think that started small and it grew big. And she's very, there's a lot of here's the event and there's these other things you can do and they cost extra.
yeah.
And but she delivers. Now she doesn't guarantee a princess castle or crazy things that some of these people do, right? Like she's just like we'll have a DJ and an open bar and
Hey,
and,
an
and you
open
have
bar
to
can get
wear
you
a
pretty far.
costume, right? Like I mean, I think we won, my mom and sister and I won the contest last time we went, and it was a rock and roll theme, and we went as the Pink Sisters.
That's cute.
And I'm thinking of the room, it did get moved to a smaller room, which was fine. I mean, it was fun. The musics were good. We won the award. It was just a good time. So,
The
yeah,
romantasy scene really reminds me of the blockbuster LARP scene, which is that people want a sense of escape. They want a
yeah,
high sense of occasion. They want a sense of quality. They want to feel like they've gone into a princess fairy tale castle for a
yeah,
night.
like your
They've escaped
Disneyland,
everyday
right?
life. Yeah, exactly. They want
Yeah,
that. But that, I mean, I remember this in the blockbuster LARP scene, a lot of people complaining about price point and accessibility. And sometimes you would have things people like would offer scholarships
right.
so that a few people could access it who wouldn't normally have the money for it. And people do put a lot of money into their costumes, into hotel, into airfare. And so they do complain
Yeah,
about the ticket prices being a substantial added cost. And then when like the quality or the sense of escapism doesn't deliver, people are rightfully angry. It's really, really difficult to square that. Uh,
yeah.
even, I mean, this has been a problem in LARP for a long time, and it's going to be a problem in romantasy with these live events as well.
Yeah. And I've seen book events, even big, well-known book events sometimes have struggle. I had a friend who shipped her books to the event and they were refused. So she got to the event. She had to fly because there's only so many books you can carry on the plane, right? She had her book shipped in advance. She did what they told her to do, but they got refused at the post office or something. So
Oh
she had
God.
no books to sell
Oh, that's
at the
horrific.
event. Yeah,
Yeah.
that she spent a lot of money to be able to attend because, events aren't usually free for authors.
They had to buy their their table. I saw a bunch of authors who were going to go to a convention who were that had been canceled on them, and they were talking about their expenses, not just the table, not just the
Yeah.
airfare, not just the
Yeah.
hotel, but like the banners that they got and the
Yep.
table runners and the swag and their books being shipped to the location
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
And I just felt
Sometimes the
terrible for
books
them.
is my cheapest expense sometimes. I think I spent $200 to
Yeah.
refill my inventory with some things I'm going to. But, I probably spent $300 for my table at SAS, right?
Yeah.
I've already bought my banner and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's really expensive. So I feel bad for independent, especially brand new authors, baby
Oh God.
authors, and all of a sudden it's canceled or no one is there. Oh,
Mm.
man,
Even worse,
man.
like you go and there's no readers. Talk about where are the readers?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that it just pays to research. It pays to talk to other authors if you haven't been to the event before, even if you're a reader, because not all events are free to readers, or you pay for a VIP ticket and, it may that $25, whatever it is, $25, 200, whatever it is, it may be worth it to you to have the early access, right?
yeah.
But you have to make sure it's worth it to you to have the early if the swag bag sucks or whatever,
Oh
right?
God. Like I
We
keep hearing
paid
about sucky swag bags.
$25 for our VIP in Suffolk. We got early access, but we also got a bag full of books.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool, and mugs and all sorts of things. All right. Well, the other big news going on has to do with The Shy Girl,
Mm.
which came out in the UK. Big Five Hatchet book, right? And then all of a sudden, now it was originally an independently published book. So this isn't it one of those indie authors that Hachette or her agent or somebody decided, hey, it's selling. Let's make some money off this girl. So so they did. And I guess there were I don't want to say rumors, but little whispers about perhaps AI was used to write this book or assist in the writing of this
And
book.
there were readers who pointed this out when she was just an indie author, you know?
Yeah.
So Patchett didn't do their homework.
Well, we had this come up on another call.
Mhm.
No one edited 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, they brought that book was selling. Why change it? Right. And in my mind, I was like, why didn't an editor go through this book? Because I just, if you love 50 Shades of Grey, okay. I'm not shading anybody, but I just found that book very difficult, and an editor could have helped it,
Oh yeah. I mean
And I'm not
she
talking
changed it from being a
comments.
fanfic, but I don't think a developmental editor went through it. Yeah, it is a little rough. I
No,
mean, she did
but
proof.
why would they? This book is making money hand over, or I don't know if it was making money at the time. Like, I don't know if she was selling it. I can't remember the story.
No,
But
she was a
a
fanfic author.
zillion
It was
people
a
loved it,
I
right?
think it was a Dramini fic. No, it was Twilight. It
It
was
was
a
a
Twilight fic.
Twilight
Of course, yes.
fanfic.
It was a
Yeah.
Twilight fanfic, Bella and Edward, and it had a lot of readers. It was called Master of the Universe.
Yeah,
Um,
but then she rewrote it to original fiction
yeah,
before it
she
got
filed the
published.
serial numbers
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. So I think a lot of these books that are being picked up by traditional publishers, indie authors that are selling books hand over fist, I think they're like, well, it's already selling. What do I have to do? I mean, I could be wrong.
No, I think
Publishers
you're
going to
right.
reach out and say, of course we edit. But, there are authors out there that I enjoy. Their books are about 10,000 words too long. They're being trad published. Why are those words not being pulled? Right? Like that in my mind, and in their mind, it's like it's already selling. It's already selling. Why would we change it? So in my mind, Shy Girl might have been that. Like, we're just going to take it, we're going to repackage it, out it goes, right? And then, of course, we have this AI fiasco going on where they've now pulled the book. It's not going to
Yeah.
be released and all this stuff. I would like to, well, I don't know. Do you have other thoughts on it?
As one of our editors, as the copy editor, as someone who was a writing teacher, who's read a lot of young writers and newer authors, I think that the writing is very bad. I'm very surprised by this. I'm surprised that no one at this trad publishing company noticed this. I mean, the sheer overuse of metaphor in every single sentence and the nonsensical nature of the metaphors is the thing that really shocks me. Like that is like textbook AI use. It's not just that it's full of metaphors, it's full of metaphors that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And like that is where
Like
that you're dealing
scurrying ghosts or
like
something.
scurrying ghosts. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
ghosts do not, unless they are mice ghosts,
Mice
they do not
ghosts. Yeah.
scurry. Ice ghosts can scurry.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything that would scurry can scurry.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing where it's like it doesn't feel like there's a mind behind this. It feels like there is an algorithm behind this. That's
Yeah.
where I'm frustrated by it, because like I don't think that it takes an AI detector or some like amazing algorithm to figure out that something is bad writing. A good editor or a writing teacher can see this immediately. And I'm not the only editor or writing teacher who is saying this. I actually went and looked for
Yeah.
these people and to see what they thought about this. And it's just kind of there's a consensus of like, yeah, this is, if I saw a student doing this, I would think that they were being too much, and I would tell them to
Yeah.
tone it
Purple
down.
prose, right?
Yeah, well, it's beyond purple prose. It's like
Yeah.
it's you are
But an
using too much
attempt to
metaphor.
write fancy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're not thinking through what you're saying. You're not
Yeah.
thinking through the implications. And when you do that, you're creating a messy vision and confusing your reader and losing them in metaphorical language. You need to tone it down and think through your writing. You must think through writing. That's what I always tell my students is like, if you're not thinking through your writing, it's not going to make sense to the reader. And that's on analytical writing, say nothing of creative writing. It's got to
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of AI was trained on that kind of writing. There's a bunch of it on there on the internet, and that's why AI writing looks like a lot of really over eager English majors with a bad novel in their drawer. And I love that for AI. It's in its young English major era,
Yeah.
but like it frustrates me that editors at Hatchet didn't notice this.
Yeah.
It
And
leads me to be like,
you
what
know,
are you guys
people
doing?
question that. People question that. And I don't know what the answer is. They haven't really come out and said. I know Jane Friedman had something in her email talking about this, asking why didn't they look and why didn't they at this point in time, why didn't they even think to look? You just don't know because I don't know how it got acquired. Any of that. So it's hard to know. And again, maybe they're like, hey, it's selling. Maybe they didn't care.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, right? I mean, the big five are all about money,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, I know that
So
it's not malice, it's money. I know that it's not
yeah,
malice. It's incompetence and money, a combination of the two.
yeah,
Yeah, but at the
yeah.
same time,
And
they think they're so much better than indie publishers, but not listening to editors or anything. It's like,
yeah,
what's the point of you guys? Come on.
yeah, yeah. But I wanna share a sort of it's not a hot take, but it's one of the things that really is sort of annoying me about this whole thing is that readers are really, I mean, the vitriol against authors,
Mm,
to not use AI to write, to not use AI for covers, to not use AI for audio. I mean, it's to the point of craziness, right?
oh
Like
yeah.
you can be against it. I'm not sort of saying you should be one way or the other, but the vitriol is really bad. I think I mentioned once before I saw a post where somebody told an author who admitted to using AI that she hopes she and her daughter got cancer.
Yeah.
Like that kind of heat against authors. And publishers say, don't use AI to write, right? We're not going to take you. But the number of publishers out there that are using AI to summarize a book, when they upload that to the AI to do the summary, how do they know that's not going to get trained? I mean,
Yeah.
how have they handed their client's book over? We know Harlequin is using AI to translate. They're using AI for everything. Is there no backlash against Hachette for producing this book, whether they knew it was AI or not? Right? It's all going to be on her,
It's
and
always
her
on the
career
author. Yeah.
and her career's over, right? You get caught or admit or whatever. I mean, some don't. We had that article, and that author's like, I'm using it. I'm putting out 200 books a year. I've paid my mortgage. I don't care what you think, right?
I think it's just like with AI, using AI in marketing, right? Like I think we know that the big companies are doing it. We know that the algorithms make it so like you're basically encouraged to do it if you're not like artistically inclined or good at Canva or something.
Yeah,
And honestly, like it is easier to make change by going after small indie folks who you can cancel or who you can punish because you might be able to make a change by punishing those people or making them afraid because you know you're not going to get the platforms to
Yeah.
change. You know you're not going to
But
get big publishing companies to change because they don't listen, they don't care.
it
And
feels
it's just
very
easier to
wrong
go
and
after small
unfair,
people than it is to
right?
punch up.
Yeah.
But I think that it's the
Harlequin
platform.
has the money to pay a translator. An
Mhm.
independent author doesn't. These big five companies, they have the money to hire a narrator.
Mhm.
Little independent authors a lot of times don't,
Yeah.
But nobody's going after them. Are they canceling Amazon because they're using AI audio?
A little bit. I mean, I do see readers who are trying to boycott Amazon, but what they do
Yeah,
is
well,
they
good luck
boycott
with
little
that,
indie
right?
authors who use Amazon and punish them and not punish the big authors who are using it. It's really tough. I mean, I just see like indie authors going after each other for using Amazon,
Yeah.
instead of always just punching up. And I do encourage our readers, by the way, just like if you can think of like a company like Harlequin or Amazon who is doing something that you disagree with or is using AI and you don't like that, find a way to punish them. Don't go
Yeah.
after little indie authors who are doing something you
Yeah.
don't like. Let's come together on these things. Like indie authors don't like living in this atmosphere either. Like we're just trying to get
No.
heard in a lot of noise. I guarantee
Yeah.
you they're not trying to like get one over on you. They're just dealing with a really noisy atmosphere.
It's
So like we're
actually
all on the
kind
same
of
side.
scary. It's kind of scary because you could get accused of using AI when you didn't. We've known authors that have had that. And it's also, if they're a business and they're allowed to get away with it, well, an independent author, what do you think they are? We've already talked about how much money you have to have inventory of your books, you have to have all this stuff. A lot of it comes down to money. My books aren't an audio because I can't hire a narrator, or for the Southern Heat books, I sold the rights to another company to do it because I don't have whatever it is, $10,000 per book, and especially the multicast today, right?
Yeah.
Audio, they're spoiled now. I love the multicast. I'm not, but to pay two people, three people, five people, I
Yeah.
mean, Lauren Blakely has a whole cast,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think the solution is always human. Like if you see someone doing something that with AI that you think is lazy and looks bad and you don't like it, you don't want them to have to resort to that, offer to help them, instead of being like, you're
Yeah.
bad and you and your dog should die. Just be like, hey, like I have some Canva skills. Can I help you? I have a
Yeah.
Canva explainer. Can I give you a hand? Like,
Yeah.
people are probably doing it because they're desperate, not because they're evil and trying to get one over on you.
Yeah.
Every
Well, we're
once in a while,
told you
someone's
should
a
have an
scam
audiobook.
artist.
We're told you should have an audiobook. I
Mhm.
can't afford it. Oh, look, I can come over here and I can do. Anyway, that's a
Yeah, my
whole
friends
other
have
thing.
offered to come over and help me do an audiobook of all hands, which is wonderful. I don't have to resort to AI. I've got friends. You've got friends. You've got a friend who can help you edit. You don't need AI for that. Like
Yeah.
turn to people. The solution to AI is human. It's not yelling at each other on social media platforms.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, so that's my little take on Shy Girl. It's like, okay, this is bad, but let's not just pick on the little person, not just pick on the author, especially if there's a trad publisher behind them
Yeah.
that could have known better.
Here's the
So,
thing she did that I don't like. She threw her editor under the bus. Her independent editor. She blamed her editor, not the
oh,
company. She
I
threw her
didn't see
editor
that
under
part.
the bus.
Okay.
I heard that and I was kind of mad about that. I
Her
was like,
editor at Hachette or the
no,
editor of
her original editor.
her original editor? Yeah, I don't like it when people do that.
Mhm.
You got to own up to what you did.
Yeah,
You
she was like,
know?
my editor put it through AI and changed the wording, and I didn't check it. I didn't check to see if she added all of these metaphors. And I'm like, girl, your book is full of these metaphors. It was doing well online because of all these
Yeah.
metaphors. And now you're throwing your editor under the
And
bus?
the thing
No.
that would be interesting, it would be easy for the editor to say, this is how it came to me,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
or easy for the editor to say, I told her this didn't make sense, right?
Honestly, if I were that editor, I would not come forward. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of that. I'd be like,
Yeah, but I
girl,
mean, it's
she
daring, and
named me.
maybe that's what they're trusting, right?
Yeah. Well, if I got named, if someone was like, wow, my editor, Tara Leederman, did this, I'd be like,
Yeah.
no, I did not. And here's
No,
the
I
proof.
didn't.
And I would
Here's my
totally drag them.
receipt. Here's my
You better
receipt.
drag me into this. But yeah, I don't think she named the editor, which allows the editor to remain quiet
Yeah.
and in the background, but plausible
Yeah.
deniability.
Yeah. Um, Reads with Rachel. I really enjoy her. That's where I first saw authors behaving badly. She has a very droll sense of humor.
Yes.
And I don't know that I've ever seen her like a book, right?
Oh no, I have. I've seen her like a
Oh,
book.
really? She's but she's not necessarily wrong in her critiques of books,
No.
right? She does a very good job at critiquing. But I recently watched an episode where she talked about the worst spicy scenes of 2025. And so of course I had to watch. It was really hilarious. And the thing that stood out to me is that she either didn't like them because the euphemisms were just crazy or cringy, or I think one of them, a couple of them, it was more than one. That was what was weird about it, used like glitter at the special moment. There's glitter,
A
right?
sprinkle of fairy dust.
But then the other side of that was feeling like a lot of the spicy bits were the same, in just terms of very vanilla, I guess,
Mhm,
kind of
mhm.
thing. It could be from any book, or the author tended to sort of stick with a certain same types of spicy bits. So I guess the question to you, Tara, is do you have a least favorite tick or strange thing that people do in spicy bits?
Oh my goodness. You're asking the person who has to copy edit these. I always feel strange going in and being like, it'd be like he grasped her in her strong arms, comma. Don't forget a comma between.
She's probably talking about me.
No,
I've yet to
I'm
master the
probably
comma.
I am probably thinking about you. But I do like read really closely when I'm like reading the spicy bits of our authors, and we do have authors who repeat with us. And we, like Susie Langvin and Annie McEwen and you and Rachel, and so everyone has their ticks. And because I'm a writing teacher, and because I notice patterns really quickly, I notice people's ticks really quickly, which means that like I have to keep my annoyance down when I see the same words over and over again. I try to be like radically accepting about it because I feel like we all do it, including me. I think it's just a normal
Yeah.
part of being a romance author to grab language from other authors who are doing this, to use the same euphemisms, to use words that readers accept and like, and avoid the ones that they do not, because there are graphs of that. Parrish found those for us. Remember, like the words that they like and the words they don't like. So you got to stay within a kind of narrow field and not use glitter. Um,
Yeah, not glitter.
I actually really dislike when people use really obscene language really quickly in sex scenes. And I know that this is a highly like polarized point. Some people really like it and some people really don't. I get really like kind of like, whoa, if it's in the rest of the book, we don't see the word, like we don't see the F word, but suddenly in sex scenes, like, and then he F'd her, and it's like, whoa, calm down. But if we
Yeah.
see it a lot, then it's, I'm not. It's just kind of like you have to boil the frog on that, I think, and like come in at it from the same tone. When people suddenly jump into really like obscene language, it feels like they're trying to be edgy or something to me. You're just like, are you trying to impress me? Like, are you trying to show just how edgy you are? And I don't think this is what it is. I think it's just like that to them is like it's dirty talk, and some people really like it. But for me, that's the one that I always find weird.
Yeah. And because when people are having sex, they're the same people they were before,
Right.
right? So, they're going to think and say similar things in that
Exactly.
moment as they would in, so yeah, that would be kind of, I think of a lot of the romances that go to the harsher language and all that. Generally, you have a sense, and a lot of times it's the man. You have a sense of, he already is edgy. He
Yeah.
already talks kind of dirty even
Yes.
before
Yeah.
that, right? Like he's
Yes.
provocative before that, right?
Right.
So yeah.
About
So
space sailors, and they drop F-bombs all the time because they're in the Navy. Like you're in the Navy, you say salty things
yeah.
a lot. Like they're salty people. Like Jace Novak is always saying, "You got your dick in your ears." Like he says that a lot. So it's
Yeah.
not surprising for him to say
Yeah.
obscene words when we
Yeah.
get into the bedroom. And then they're just saying the F word like every page. I've got it in there. So I don't mean to shock you. I even if anything, I'm pulling back when I get to the sex scene. They're like more tender with each other
Yeah.
instead of dropping F-bombs all the time. So it's the
Right.
opposite. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like sudden obscene language. That's very, very shocking to me.
Yeah. Very weird.
How about you?
For me, when I read, sometimes I get disappointed if the scenes are a little too short.
Mm, okay.
Like I've been rooting for these people to, get together, and the scene might be fine. It's just sort of short, or you have a sense it's not closed door, but we're barely in the door, or
We're barely in there.
we fall on the bed, and then the next scene we're done, and I'm like, wait a minute, what about
She's
the
talking about me,
caressing?
gentle readers. She's talking about me.
What about the caressing? What about the, yeah, I mean, um, but worse than that. I mean, that's just a sort of personal, I like the spicy bits, so I like to have a little bit of it. It doesn't have to be wild crazy, but when they just seem to kind of, we're here and then all of a sudden it's done, it's like, wait, what? But the laughable euphemisms that does, if you're writing a serious, it could be a rom-com too, but I mean, if you use a weird euphemism and people are going to be laughing at a point you don't want them to be laughing,
Yes.
right? One of my favorite is throbbing love thruster.
No.
Throbbing love thruster.
Oh
So,
God.
like, not anybody using that, all of a sudden, whatever seriousness there is in the moment, gone, right? And I want to acknowledge, having to write a bunch of these things, that sometimes it is hard. If you are not going to use the coarser, harsher language, you are having to find other ways to describe body parts,
Mm.
right? And so I don't want to dismiss the challenge of it, but you want to be careful, because those kind of euphemisms just are like, oh my God. You feel like you're reading a bodice ripper from 1970 or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just sort of crazy, like, oh, no.
With a lot of throbbing members and the hardness and the indication of his need, all of those.
Yeah.
I think those are fine. I've seen those a
Yeah.
lot. I've read a lot of historical romance as well,
Yeah.
and like I think people are just trying to stay in the three chili peppers. I try not to be annoyed with
Right.
authors for things like that, even if I
Yeah.
see it a lot, because this is difficult.
It is.
I watch our authors come from being novelists, moving into being short story writers, and really struggling at the sex scenes. Now
Yeah.
that I've kind of graduated from being the Crimson Wake author in our first anthology that Jenna had to coax into writing a full sex scene with several R&Rs, because I was just like, I can't do this in 10,000 words.
More? What's more?
Just Jenna had to be like, okay, I'm not going to say you have to do tab A into slot B, but get it there, girl, get it.
Yeah.
And now I'm fine, but and I think a lot of the authors struggle with this, and I think it's very normal in short story writing to feel like I haven't had enough time with these characters to be able to write this convincingly, and I don't have enough words to write this, so just and then they fell into bed, and that's the end of it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that,
Yeah.
and just watching the authors get there and really lean in is kind of one of the kind of one of the thrills actually of being the copy editor, honestly, like
Yeah.
watching authors like proceed and get better at this is kind of
No. Yeah.
the honor
Yeah.
of a lifetime, honestly.
And the reality is, some of the best spicy scenes don't necessarily have a lot of mechanics, choreography, right? It's just a lot of talk of sensations or thoughts or things like that. I
Or
really like.
emotion, and it feels like they've really earned it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like Flower of Her Femininity either.
Power
That's
of
the other one I don't like.
Woof.
But that body part is kind of hard to to talk about without using a weird euphemism.
Yes, yeah. I turned that around in Corlana Lights. The male has a flower of his masculinity.
There we go. There we go.
So take that, romance readers. Come for me.
If you are listening and want to leave a comment about your favorite or
Please do.
non-favorite or whatever, I just be curious. I'm very picky about what I read and all sorts of stuff. And sometimes I think I'm fussing about things and people are like, seriously, not a problem. Throbbing Love Fluster, no problem. Right?
I was surprised seeing the word clouds that Parrish found. There was like a research paper, like that had like gathered readers like most and least favorite words. And I was really surprised by the clouds and like how polarizing some of the words were.
Yeah.
But honestly, I wish I could we should probably post this or something for romance
Yeah.
authors. Like it's really helpful to see what people hate. And more important to see what people dislike than it is to see what they really like, because you can kind of choose from among the things people like and be okay. But like the stuff they really hate, you got to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moist. Don't use
Oh, I
moist.
just think that's so funny.
People hate that word.
But I also think if you were writing a five chili pepper, You might, anybody who reads Five Chili Pepper, they might not mind that so much, right?
That's another world. Five chili pepper and
Yeah.
erotic. That is another world. I mean, they get
Yeah.
away with Minotaur milking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is it's not us, but I love their existence. I appreciate I appreciate you, Five Chili Pepper people. All right. Well, speaking of hot takes, I spent a lot of time on social media getting an eyeful of like some crazy hot takes about romance and reading and how to write romance and how writers should and shouldn't write romance. And I wanted to know, Jenna, what was your favorite hot take and what's your least favorite hot take out there these days?
My first instinct was to go with whose business is whatever what I read? Why are you policing what I read? But I recently on our Substack posted an article about annotating. And I know that there are people with strong opinions about even just folding the corner down to mark
Dog
your
earring.
page, like get a bookmark. And I have taken to annotating not all my books, but some of my books. And so I was writing about how I was doing that. And another author said something to the effect that if someone was annotating their book, they'd feel violated. Uh, so I was sort of like, gosh, is it a hot take for me to want to write in my books?
It might be. I think
know?
saying that you like to dog ear and liking to annotate is a hot take because people have really strong feelings about
Yeah, I don't really dog ear.
it.
I used to dog ear like little tiny ones to mark pages because I wanted to go back to them and study them.
Yeah.
And now I have the tools where there's just all sorts of sticky tapes that I can use. So I
Yeah.
don't even write in them anymore. But yeah,
I have a hot take here. This is my hot
okay.
take. This is not a favorite hot take. This is just my hot take.
Okay.
I dog ear books. I write in books. I'm an English major. I process books like I'm eating them alive. Uh, I think that telling someone that you feel violated by them writing your book is like telling them you feel violated by them eating a meal you wrote for them. It's their book. They bought it with their money. It's a physical
Yeah.
object. It's the story that is yours. The story is yours. You've given them that. The physical object, if they tear it apart and turn it into something new and they use it, they actually process it, actually reading my writing and engaging with it, I think that's amazing. I think that that's wonderful because I know that when I read books like Frankenstein, which I have marked the hell out of because I read it 5 times in different English classes, and I wish I could grab it for you right now. It's got notes everywhere. It's dog-eared. It's got annotations. It's got highlighter, everything because I processed that book. I've thought with and through Frankenstein obsessively. I love that book. And that's my proof is that object. Is that book that is now thoroughly mined, thoroughly processed, thoroughly digested.
Yeah.
And I hope that Mary Shelley loves that wherever she's at. And I didn't just leave it pristine on a shelf. That's not how I feel about reading. And like everyone reads differently and that's okay, you know? So if you want to
Yeah.
annotate your books, go for it. I think that it's great.
Well, I think for some readers who annotate, and I've seen people on YouTube do this, they are engaging with the book. And in the minute they've come to a screeching halt because there's a line or something that they're reacting to, I mean, as an author, that would be pretty exciting, especially if they're writing something in the sidebar, like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming, or they're just underlining it just because it was beautifully written, or, whatever it is. Yeah, in my mind, it's like it's a deeper engagement with the book. And the other thing, and you talked about this, you've read Frankenstein 5 times. If all 5 times were the book that you started the first time annotating and you're going through it again, like every time could be different. Like you could stop and be like, I don't know why I read it. Like this doesn't seem like a big deal to me now. Or how did I miss this the last time I read it?
Yeah.
Or yes, this is getting me the same time. So it's sort of like having a journal or a memory keeper of an experience you had of a book. And why do we read but to have an experience, right?
Yeah, and it's experiences with teachers and classrooms and other English majors. In my undergrad at UCLA, in my master's at Cal State Fullerton, and then in my PhD at UC Irvine. I have different experiences. My favorite thing in Frankenstein is I read it for my PhD in a class there. It was Ghost of the Enlightenment, I believe. We read Frankenstein, but don't quote me on that. It might have been a different one. But I had read it the during my master's, and the teacher who read it with us, like he was reading a passage out loud to us to sort of underline a thing that had happened. And it's the moment when Frankenstein is brought to life, or the Frankenstein's monster is brought to life, and Dr. Frankenstein, he then like he sees it and then he goes to bed. And as the teacher is reading it, he's like, and then I went to sleep. He went to sleep. He went to sleep.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
annotated that like with this teacher's reaction to it because it was such a funny moment. None of us had thought about how crazy this was that Frankenstein had gone to sleep after he had done this
Yeah. He
thing.
just animated a dead body and, oh,
Like
I'm
I just
tired, going to bed.
this freaking this new animal that you just created had to
Yeah.
come, this poor person had to come wake you up.
Yeah.
But it is very like giving birth. Like he's been in labor for a week, basically.
Yeah.
And he's been laboring on this thing, and then he fell asleep, like he's just exhausted. And it does make sense from that perspective, but it also is completely insane that you would go to sleep after you've reanimated a dead body.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
came back to that in my PhD and was like, oh my God, yes, I remember this moment, this magical moment in the classroom. And then I related the story to everyone in my PhD seminar, and they thought that was great. They hadn't thought about it either, like how crazy that was. And then we had this whole conversation about labor, and we had mothers in the classroom who got to talk
Yeah.
about it. You said,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're so exhausted after a week of labor. It's just like that." And we got to talk about gestational cycles and all this stuff. So this was really important, this annotation. Like it changed the way I engaged with literature, and it changed moments in classrooms and allowed me to record them. It allowed me to remember this, to tell it to you now on this podcast. So this is really important to processing books, and I think you should
Yeah.
write your books. Like take
I
ownership
want to
of
write
them
my
this way.
books. Yeah.
I think it's
And
great.
again, today you don't have to use a highlighter or pen. Like there are sticky note type things that you can
Mhm.
put in and you can write on those, or they got highlighter, sticky tape. And so yeah. So you do, if you don't want to write in your book, you don't have to. But go to Pinterest or YouTube and see people do it. Some of them are so artistic and beautiful, it becomes like this whole new thing that's just theirs,
Yeah, it's
right?
transformational. It's beautiful
Yeah.
with doodles and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite take?
My least favorite take. Oh my God. The thing I don't like, I keep going to things I don't like, but least favorite seems like not that. I
A
guess
take you don't tell me a take you don't like. That works for me. I
a
see a lot
take
of
I
these.
don't like. Well, yeah, I still don't like people who think they should be able to tell me what I read is stupid.
Fair. People
Well,
like
and
what?
I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but I get annoyed at nobody does that with any other genre, right?
Hmm.
Nobody goes on and says, "Oh my God, they read horror," you know. And they may not like horror, but they don't go out of the way to say I don't like horror,
Hmm.
you know. So I guess this whole policing of what people write or read, of them, I yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm going to start with my least favorite take to agree with you. I feel like readers feel like they can lecture romance authors more than any other kind of author.
Yeah.
Because I'm on social media all the time as our SSM, I see a lot of this. People telling romance authors, like, if you write a prologue, I won't read it. If you write an epilogue, I won't read it. And then my least favorite one was someone who said that she doesn't read description. If you have descriptive text, it's just only dialogue. I was like, what? What? Like, and saying like, don't write
As the
description.
person
I'm
who
not going
reads
to read
Game
it.
of Thrones by person, right?
I've never seen anyone tell this to a fantasy author. Like, don't write description. I'm not going to read it. And
Yeah.
someone say this to a sci-fi author. Don't write description. I won't read. I've never seen that like on the
Yeah. How are you going to
side.
understand it if you don't, right?
Right. I don't feel like anyone would feel authorized to tell a science fiction or romance author, like, if you write description, I'm not going to read it. But it feels fine to tell a romance author, if you write description, I'm not going to read it. If you write a prologue, I'm not going to read it. If you write an epilogue, regardless of context, I'm not going to read it. I think I mean, I believe that people should read the way they want to. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that firmly, but I don't think it's okay to get on social media and tell romance authors don't write it. That's my
Well, obviously you can do whatever you want to do, but like, why?
yeah. Why are
Of,
you
of
doing
all the things you could be doing, why would you be dissing an author or a genre or whatever? That just doesn't make any sense.
it? Yeah.
Now that you were talking about the epilogues and stuff, which I do enjoy, I remembered how Jess at Peace Love Books was talking about how she didn't mind cheating,
Hmm.
as long as it wasn't between your main couple. Like they could be with other people and then come together and they're cheating on the other people. That was a hot take that I'm like, I don't know if I could do that.
It's a third rail in romance, but everyone has stuff that they like to read
They
and stuff
do.
that don't, and that's
Exactly.
okay. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't like books that are full of dragons. That doesn't mean I'm going to tell someone don't write dragons.
Well, yeah,
Dragons suck. That's
that's
crazy. I
right.
would never do
And
that.
and particularly in the romance genre, we have things that push the limits, right? We have bullies, we have stalkers. There are women who like this stuff. And you know what? Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you not to like it. I might not
Mafiosos
understand
who
it,
murder
but
people.
who am I to tell you what to read,
Or
right?
Secret Baby. I mean, you hate that trope, but
Oh,
people
I
like
do
it.
not like that trope. Yeah. I don't because it breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, to think of a man meets his kid at 4 and he's missed all that time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is for me. But yeah, people love it, obviously, because there's a lot of them out there.
Exactly. Yeah, we all have
Yeah,
tropes that we don't like, and that's okay. But I wouldn't tell an author, don't write it. It's
don't
terrible,
write it. Yeah, yeah,
So I think that especially when it's on Instagram, there's a lot of baby authors on there who are sort of like, well, I can't write a prologue now, even if they had a really good reason to have an epigram or a prologue, or I can't write an
yeah,
epilogue now because
yeah.
readers hate it. Because I'm seeing all these readers who are like getting a lot of like likes for not liking epilogues. Like, well, I can't have an epilogue, even if they had a really good reason or a really lovely epilogue,
Yeah.
or oh, I
I
can't write
almost always
description
have an
now.
epilogue. I
I
almost
like
always have
description.
yeah. Well,
You often have
descriptions
epilogues, and I like them.
I do almost always because I feel like I want to have a scene that is showing we've come all this way and they've butt heads and had all sorts of problems. I want to show a snippet of their life now, which isn't necessarily perfect, but we can see that they've grown.
Yeah.
They've made the choice to be together, and if when something comes up, they're able to work through it, and not have the problems that were keeping them apart before. So
Mhm.
again, that's just me. If there are people who aren't reading it, fine, good. You don't have to tell me. I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
The allergy to prologues. I mean, I've been working on a piece on prologues because I'm wanting to investigate this issue. The allergy to
Yeah,
prologues has gotten so bad that I have found chapters one that are functionally prologues, but they
yeah,
are called chapter one.
yeah,
But like, for all intents and purposes, they are prologues.
yeah,
And people are just not using the word prologue because readers are like, I won't read it. But it's a prologue. It's just
yeah,
called chapter one.
yeah.
That's ridiculous. You should be able to just say it's a prologue.
I,
If it's a prologue.
yeah, I wasn't aware that there were too many readers. I mean, I know there were some readers, but I know a lot of agents and editors who didn't like them.
Yeah.
But I think it really had to do with they were poorly done or unnecessary and
Hmm.
prevented you from getting into the story. That's so if it's necessary, then it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody is reading and thinking, but what the back told me it was going to be this, and it's not
Hmm.
that, right? And that's when you need to take a look at it, maybe.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to write an article about this. It's like, what is a
Yeah.
prologue? When to use it, and when it's just your chapter one, and when it's an epigram. But I think a lot of people write a prologue that is actually an epigram. It's
Yeah.
just kind of setting the tone. And there's been a few epigrams I have really loved that have stuck with me over the years, and that I wanted to talk about in this piece. The epigram to the first Outlander book, which it doesn't say prologue on it. The other ones later on down the line say prologue when they are in fact epigrams. They just
Yeah.
they're like a little snippet of a thought. Do you remember
Yeah.
the first epigram to the first Outlander novel?
Nope.
It's people disappear all the time. And it's just a
Oh,
couple of paragraphs.
yeah.
But I have remembered that since I was a child, since I heard it. There's like an abridged audiobook that I loved listening to with my mom that has music and everything. And Geraldine James does the voice. But it has that little epigram at the beginning. People disappear all the time. Women, grab the shopping money and disappear. Disappearances often have explanations, usually. I love that epigram. It's
Yeah.
lovely. It's very short. It just kind of sets the mood, and then we get into it, and it's great.
Yeah.
That's an excellent use of an epigram, and I encourage people to
Yeah.
do that. It's
Yeah.
lovely.
Sort of gives away the punchline before the story, but okay.
But it's okay. I mean, stories aren't all about avoiding spoilers. Sometimes they're about setting the mood, and that's what
Yeah,
it does.
yeah. And Julia Quinn's books have prologues.
Mm,
And you watch the show, there's no
mhm.
prologue. And so in my mind, I'm like, see, you can weave the backstory in.
I
So
agree with you there. I agree that
now
she
I'm
probably
not
doesn't
an
need prologue.
anti-prologue person per se. I mean, as an agent, I know at least one person. almost didn't read on after the
Hmm.
prologue. And
Mm.
lucky I did. And I was like, she doesn't need that. We pulled it. I didn't use it. And somebody else, I think, started with another character. So in
Mm.
some ways would have been a prologue. And I was like, we can't have that.
That's very common in fantasy. Like the first Game of
Yeah.
Thrones book does that, where we start with a character who dies and we never see them again. All of the Harry Potter books, not to talk about J.K. Rowling, but she actually prologues well and epilogues badly. We're gonna talk about sins. Her first prologue is a very good. It's not. I remembered it as a prologue because it is a prologue, but it is actually chapter one in her book, which is insane because it is definitely a prologue. It takes place before the rest of the action of the story, and it has a
Yeah.
different POV character. Sorry, J.K. Rowling. It's a prologue.
Yeah.
You should have
Yeah.
called it a prologue. And she
Yeah.
prologues in all of her books for just about like with we have
And
another
maybe she
character.
did. You
She might
know,
have, and they might have
she
changed it
might
to
have
chapter
had an
one.
agent or an editor who said children don't read prologues.
That is not true, by the way. That's ridiculous. The Redwall books, I was just looking for
Well,
Redwall books.
but
They're full of prologue.
my point is somebody else might have told her,
Probably.
I
No, you're
mean,
right. Yeah.
sometimes authors are asked to do things and, and a lot of times they'll do them just because, well, okay, you know
Yeah.
better.
Whenever I make the argument that prologues can be really good, really important, like book changing, I think of The Boy Who Lived, which is that first chapter of the first Harry Potter book, which is called Chapter One. And I remembered it as a prologue because it's a prologue. But yeah,
Yeah.
but she does have an epilogue, and I hate that epilogue more than most
Yeah.
epilogues I've ever written. I've ever read in my life or written. But it's a pretty bad epilogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Epilogue
So
sins.
look, even J.K. Rowling, I'm sure she's sitting at home worried about that.
I
So
doubt
that's
she
what we're
cares.
saying.
I'm not the first reader who has hated her epilogue, and I won't be the last one.
Yeah. Yeah. But nobody loves everything, which sort of, we didn't really talk about this, but, comes up a lot. We have authors that get all miffed and peeved at, readers who leave them a bad review or
Mm.
whatever, and then they start going after them. And I'm
Oh God.
like, just don't. If they want to write in your book, it's their book. If they didn't like it, it's their book.
Yeah.
Like it's their experience. And if they said something bad, mean, or whatever, like just don't. Just let it go. You can't go read your reviews and then go after people who didn't like your book. That's just, you can't do that. And
Once you
so
put your
many
book
people
out
are
in the
doing that.
world, you can't control what happens to it. It's
No.
out there, and you just got to be okay with people just receiving it as they receive
Yeah. I mean,
it.
it's scary. It hurts. It hurts when okay. But you can't, hey, they bought it. So
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy the sale and move on.
yeah, yeah.
I had a favorite hot take. This is very similar to what we've been talking about, but I do like agree that people should be allowed to read the way that they want to. I actually saw a hot take that someone was like, I skip to the end. And people were getting really mad. Like, how can you do that? You're spoiling the book for yourself. Why would you do that? It's all about like the surprise. And this reader was like, well, no, it's not for me. Like for me, I need to know that everything ends happily. One
Yeah.
reason why I think people like happily ever afters in romance is just knowing that that's okay and they can just read the book and
Yeah.
knowing that everything's going to be fine. Other genres don't have that kind of assurance to them. So sometimes people read ahead. I'm one of those people. I actually do sometimes read the last chapter because for me, I don't care if I have spoilers. I don't care if I know what's going to happen. And another confession, readers, when I read Game of Thrones, I read it completely wrong. I read one character or one region of characters first, all the way through, get to the end, and then come back. I will read Danny chapter, Danny chapter, Danny chapter, Danny chapter, and then come back. John chapter, John chapter, John chapter, John chapter, and then come back. And then I'll read, your Arya and Ned and Sansa chapters because, like, in the first book, they're all in the same place. And if that spoils things for me, fine. I just want that character's perspective the whole way through. It's not that he wrote the book wrong. I'm just made wrong. I just like getting that one character's experience all the way through. Because when I tried to read it correctly, I'm doing air quotes here, I lost momentum and got frustrated when I moved on to another character. Every time I wanted to know what was going on with Tyrion. I wanted to know what else was going to happen to Sansa. I wanted to know what was going on with Jon. I didn't want to move to another character. And I would just kind of like lose like the wind from my sails every single time I was supposed to switch. So I just started reading them all the way through as like one character experience and then going to another. And that enabled me to read all of the books. And I think that if there is something that's blocking you from reading a book and you can find another way to read it, while still actually engaging with most of the material that is there. Like, I don't think you should skip all the description, guys. Like, don't do that. But if there's a way that helps you get through the book, I think that you should do it. Unless you just want to DNF it, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole skip the description thing. I can sort of see that. I've been known to skim if I
Mhm.
just feel like, oh, I know where we are, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, description is supposed to help set the scene, but once you're oriented,
Mhm.
because I do remember one time reading something where there was a great deal of discussion about the shells used in the driveway. It was like
Mhm.
not gravel, it was like shells or whatever. I was like, I don't
Mhm.
care. Uh, let's get to the house, right? So,
Yes,
I
yeah.
mean, I've been known to skip, but I don't skip all description because
Mhm.
usually it orients you to the
Mhm.
setting or, to whatever. In terms of reading at the end, I don't read the last chapter, but I have been known to open up to the last couple pages to see where we're going because I don't want a cliffhanger. And sometimes they don't tell you, right? If it's going to be a
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Mhm.
And I want to make the choice about whether or not I want to invest time in the cliffhanger, or if I do have concerns about how it might end, I might skip to the end. Because there's some books I read and there might be an author who has romances, but maybe has some other stuff, and I'm not sure like what this is. But I also, because I do read a lot of romantic suspense, I want to be careful that I don't find out who the bad guy is if it's a mystery. So a lot of times I'll just reach to the end and, oh, I love you forever. Okay, good. And then I go back to the beginning,
None
right?
of it's a mystery. I don't want to see, did the butler do it? I don't want to find out about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I just
So
want to make sure someone doesn't die. That's my big thing, is if I think someone's going to die, I want to go check if they're going to
yeah.
be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there is sort of a sense of reading can be stressful sometimes if you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to come. And as I notice in TV, sometimes I have low tolerance for some things
Mm,
in terms of the tension holding too long.
mm.
In TV in particular, because in reading I can skip ahead or whatever, right? But I've noticed in TV sometimes I get kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
ready for this to be done, you
Yeah.
know.
That's a reason I
So
don't watch a lot of horror. I tried watching Stranger Things. I made it to season 3, but it kind of doesn't let up.
yeah,
It just goes and goes, and I know a lot of people really enjoy that. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Again, I'm made wrong, and I don't like that as much.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't even like first person present tense very much because I feel like it's a little stressful. I mean, I can read it, and I
yeah,
do, but I do if I certain versions of first person present tense with like danger, it feels more immediate. Like I remember Hunger Games, it was a really stressful thing to read, and it's supposed to be like that's the
yeah,
idea. That's why they're doing first person
yeah,
present tense. It's a good use of it, and
yeah.
it became really popular after that. And I think a lot of people use it without realizing that it's a more stressful way of reading. It's really
But the
powerful.
opposite of that is it's more immersive, right?
Absolutely,
Especially
yeah,
in something with romance where that's the whole reason you're reading it, right? Is you
yeah.
want to have the feels. And that's why, I started writing in third person past tense. All my books are third person past tense, but the stories that are going in anthologies are all first person present. And I enjoy writing that for that reason.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to be in their head and write in
Hmm.
their POV and have a deeper point of view
Yeah.
writing in that way. So
I think in romance, if everything is like lower stress, like not necessarily romantic suspense, but anything else, like it
yeah,
can be so super fine. Like, you're there to feel the sensations of like a spicy scene, which is super fine. I always
yeah,
have danger in my stories. I'm always like kind of up here with wanting there to be like a thriller. We've got like
yeah. I know
I'm
you
always
like to
doing
blow
sci-fi
things up.
romance, so I never do first person present tense because I never do first person for one thing. But present tense, like we're gonna be doing space battle in present tense if I do that, and then I think that's gonna be really stressful on the reader, so I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or someone dying of an explosion and then being brought back. I don't want to do that to a reader. It seems cruel, and I don't want to do it to me. It seems more stressful when writing too. All right, so of course, we cannot do any podcast without talking about news within Tender and Tempting Tales, both winter and coming up in the spring. So we just had our release of Pause and Peril. That was our first Z. That had me in it, that had Jenna in it, that had Marissa Marinello in it with a West Coast Weird story. It was romantic suspense, and it was edited by Rachel Young, one of our editors, and I thought it was fantastic. It looks really lovely. If you're interested in getting an e-zine, I recommend getting your hands on Pause and Peril. It was really fun to put together, and we're looking forward to our other zines. Speaking of, we have a call right now for Fantastical Foes. That is open until the end of April. It's being edited by Erna Semper. And that is going to be a romanticy zine with enemies to lovers. Every story in there has to have the trope of enemies to lovers. And I think it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous zine. So if you are a romance author, that's a good chance for you to try it on. And if you are a romance reader, stay tuned in July. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. I think everyone is going to want to get their hands on this. I'm looking forward to doing layout for it. Jenna?
Yeah. Well, and then we got Fireworks and Flirtation anthology coming out in May. Almost here. Boy, time flies. That's a fun one. Another summer one. We got 10 great authors in there, fun stories. And then after that, we're going to have our call for Starlit, which starts actually in May as well.
May 1st, yeah.
And that is Starlit and Spellbound, which will be kind of a fall, it should have a fall vibe with what I like to call woo-woo, but apparently my definition of woo-woo is different. So it doesn't have to be witchy, it doesn't have to have spells, but it could. It doesn't have to be paranormal, but it could. But it should have something kind of otherworldly in it. So even if it's out of this world.
Mine's got nanites in
So
it.
if you're a sci-fi person, you
Yeah.
can do that. And of course, we'll have information about all these calls over on our Substack. And of course, this we talked about annotation. I have an article this week on Substack about annotating. If you're interested in why any author would want to do that, and the tools and supplies and the types of things that you might want to annotate to make reading romance even more fun.
And we've also, speaking of our podcast, we've got here in Substack, we've got even more coming up this month. We've got Jason Wrench coming, who writes a queer romance, and he has a hockey romance out. So I'm really excited to talk to him. He
Yeah.
was in Moonlight and Margaritas with the very first enemies to lovers modern story that I ever liked. So that's a coup for him. We've also got
Yep.
Sierra Hill coming. I'm really excited to talk to her. She's really lovely. She's a friend of Tender and Tempting Tales, and also she's often on the right with Harte. So we love talking to her. And then after that, Mariah Onkenman, who is a big bookish influencer and an author. She's written so many books, I don't even know the number at this point. And she's got a new book coming out about an aerialist. And I'm really excited to talk to her. She's also really sweet, and she does a lot of disability rep in romance. So we're going to talk about that.
Aerial list. Is that like Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah.
Oh,
And people with, with
those
people up
spicy
in big
bits
hoops
must be
and
good, huh?
yes, yeah. She's got POTS disability rep. I think she has hearing impaired disability. She's got a lot of really cool stuff in her stories, and she's eager to talk about it. And we talked a little bit about that with B as well. And so I'm excited to talk to Mariah. The other thing she does is she hosts Author April and Author August. And so if you are a romance author, I recommend if you go on to Instagram, you're going to see a lot of people doing Author April posts, talking about who they are, what they write, what they've been doing, sharing what they're doing in their writing, like their works in progress, sharing their word counts. Like sharing little bits of their stories and Teaser Tuesday and things about their main characters, Main Character Monday. It's a really good way of finding new indie authors and communicating with other indie authors and getting yourself out there and getting your feet wet with Canva or however you want to make your posts. So I highly recommend trying it out. Do our book recommendations. What are you reading?
I'm reading The Other Bennett Sister,
Yeah, you are.
of course, to get ready for the show, but I have a very difficult time picking next books. The Other Bennett Sister I got at the library. It's not actually on my shelf. I can't believe that I got these shelves and I have all these books and I'm not reading them. I'm getting stuff at the library or whatever. Well,
Oh.
my sister got me a TBR jar
Ooh.
that has all these little cards in it to where you can like put the book and then pick what
Yeah,
to
pull it
read.
out for the next
But
one.
I haven't been able to do that. And then I saw somebody today who had a board and she would roll dice and she'd count and it would be like, read a book with a pink cover or read a book with a whatever. And I
Hmm.
thought, that's what I'm going to put on these. So it just narrows down and then I can look at my shelf
That's a good idea.
and pick from 5 books instead of feeling like picking and thinking, but what if I don't want to read that now?
That's fair.
So that's what I'm gonna do next time. But I'm reading The Other Bennett Sister right now.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I am eagerly reading Shadow of Betrayal by Eva Leclerc on Substack. That's been really fun. I'm also reading Erna Semper's new work, which I have been pestering Erna to write for a while, which is all about the Lambda Rados from the Thessaly affair. It's called Lion in the Garden. I'm very excited. I'm probably the very bad influence and reason why this exists, which means that I have to read it, and it's wonderful. Highly recommended. Let's see what else am I reading. I have also been reading An Edible History of Humanity right here. This has been
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
And also I've got one about like five beverages that tell you about the history of humanity. I like a little bit of nonfiction all the time. So those are the things I've been reading.
Gosh, thank you everybody for listening to us ramble on about hot takes and news and things we're excited about. And, we'd love to hear from you and what your hot takes are, whether you agree or disagree with us or have some other thing that you would want our opinion about or news that we don't know about.
Yeah, seriously. Or new bookish influencers you want to hear us talk to, or
Yeah,
someone you want to get on, someone you like on YouTube or TikTok, send us their deets and we can try to get them on here.
yeah,
Or an
yeah,
author you like, an indie author that you want to see on here, I can always go for broke
absolutely.
and contact them. You never know. Everyone wants to be on a podcast.
To chat with us for
Yeah,
sure,
for fun.
because we're just nuts.
I've been surprised at the response, actually. People have been pretty like, "Oh yeah, cool, I'll come talk to you." Like, I
Yeah,
like that. That's nice. Like
yeah.
they don't treat us like axe murderers.
That's right. Or who are you to want to talk to me? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Because in the romance community, people like to talk books. People like to talk romance. It's the reason we go out to events and stuff. So, and here we get to do it through Zoom, and it's a lot of fun.
People have been really nice about it. I think one thing I want to do, and I don't know, readers, tell us what you think about this, is maybe do like some kind of reader contest and the winner can come on the podcast and chat with us. Be
Ooh,
fun,
give your
right?
hot takes. I like
Tell us your hot takes.
that.
But yeah, it'd be fun to have a
Uh,
reader on, honestly. Like we
yes,
want to hear from you guys.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be fun.
Yeah. So when you hear this, let us know what you think.
Yep.
Or maybe the first person who comments on this and says they want to be on the podcast on our Substack or on Instagram, we might have you on. So comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know.
All right. Well, we are Tender and Tempting Tales. You can find us on Substack. Just look for Tender and Tempting Tales there. We'll also have the link in the show notes. We've got articles coming out every week. Jenna and I both write for it. If you are a romance author, you can also come and write for us on the Substack. We would love to have you. You have a hot take you want to write about, or some strange history of romance. We'd love to hear from you and have you write an article. We also sometimes have articles from Parrish Baker. Hopefully, get Rachel to write something for us at some point. And we also do the podcast there, so you can find all of our podcast episodes up on the Substack and be informed. We also find us on Instagram. We are Tender Tempting Tales on Instagram. Just go ahead and search for us there. We'll also have the links for that in the show notes. We also have a reader group on Facebook. You can join us there. Come talk to us. I've been trying to reach out to the readers there, see how they're doing every day, hear their favorite hot takes, hear about what they're reading. And we have an author group on there as well. And of course, we have our calls. If you are a romance author, please do take a look at our calls and submit something. We would love to hear from you. And then we will add you to our author group and hear from you on Facebook and get to chat with you all the time. And that will be wonderful. Jenna?
Absolutely. Thank you again so much for joining us and listening to us ramble on. And I do hope that you follow us and comment, engage with us, because I love talking, if you can't tell, and I want to talk to you. And until next time, peace, love, and happily ever after.